Welcome to another edition of Cambridge Inside Out. I'm Susana Segat.
And I'm Robert Winters. And we touched on quite a few things there in our first half hour here tonight. I thought maybe we'd sort of begin the second half hour just sort of walking through a couple of upcoming events. And there really are quite a few upcoming events. Let me just sort of mention a couple quick ones first. One is that, in addition to the Taste of Cambridge, which has been moved to this coming Thursday, which is along Sydney Street in around Central Square area.
University Park.
University Park area. But on, what is it now? It's Monday, July 21st, 2 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, Harvard Square Business Association having a big open job fair for a whole big list of places that do business in Harvard Square. So if you're sort of thinking about picking up a job in various places, from the Beat Hotel, the Border Cafe, Cambridge Family and Children's Services, City Sports, I'm just picking a few here, but it's a nice long list. That's actually coming around there.
Yeah.
So
Well, tell them where it is.
they said bring your resumes at the Harvard Square Business Association table, and where exactly it is, good question. But it's in Harvard Square. I think if you, I do know. It's actually in Winthrop Park over at JFK Street. So that's actually on Monday, July 21st.
What time?
That's 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. If you're interested in the activities of the Cambridge Redevelopment Authority, they're meeting Wednesday, July 23rd, 5:30 down at the police station in East Cambridge. I don't know what's on the agenda, but they've always got something interesting these days. One thing actually I wanted to mention a few weeks ago, but I neglected to do, is that an initiative from the Charles River Conservancy, together with the Department of Conservation and Recreation in the state, they've been hosting every Sunday from June 22nd through the end of September what they call the Sunday Parkland Games.
What is that?
Well, I think it's a great initiative.
Wait, every Sunday?
Every Sunday.
What time?
It's 3:30 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
at the John Wingate Weeks footbridge.
And what happens there?
Well, it's a lot of games and things, like kids can be involved in games, but one good close friend of mine goes there for yoga. I have yoga out on the field there from 5 to 6 p.m. every
Cool.
Sunday. So,
There used to be tango by the moonlight every full moon. I haven't heard about it this year.
I think
previous
they
years.
do it still. I think they still do it.
So every month this summer there's super moons. So imagine doing your little dance in a super moon on the river.
That's right.
Very nice.
Tuesday, July 22nd, is the next planning board meeting, where they're continuing discussions about, as we mentioned in the last half hour, the next round of housing that is proposed for New Street. Right, there was already one proposed. This is for another one for 93 residential units.
There's
at
room
75
there
New
still
Street.
for more housing?
There's room there, yeah. It's all sort of wedged in between New Street and the back of the shopping center area. But the other side of the street is Danahy Park, so it's not especially crowded. But
No, it's lovely.
but again, there are going to be some redesigns. I think it'll happen there.
I think parking is more of an issue there than.
Parking is really big issue. That road really isn't even. There are sections that really are not designed for any parking, yet people feel the need for it, so they
Well,
park.
the signs say you can park.
They do?
Yeah.
Even though there's no room?
There's no room,
Not great.
but it doesn't say you can't park there.
Yeah. Well, that's a problem.
It's a weird street.
Now,
That should be one of the interview questions for the new
Traffic and parking?
parking
yeah.
person.
What's
What would
gonna be
you
your
do with
treatment
New
to
Street?
New Street, exactly. As many of you may know, the Cambridge City Council meets through the end of June, but then it takes off for the summer and comes back in the fall.
They're not really taking off. They're doing serious work. They're just not meeting.
There's one committee meeting scheduled
I
for the
know, but
entire summer.
they're doing constituent
Yeah,
services.
one
They're
guy
out
was
there
in
working
Barcelona.
really hard. Who's in
I
Barcelona?
think Nadeem was in Barcelona.
Wow.
Yeah, so-
He's studying
Hey, listen, everybody's
government in Barcelona.
No, he wasn't. Anyway, everybody's entitled to a vacation, including
Well, not
city
2
council.
months.
Not 2 months. Well, they don't actually get 2 months because they come back for the special city council midsummer meeting.
And when is that?
For this year, it's on Monday, July 28th. One thing you might want to be aware of, however, for those who are habituals up at the Sullivan Chamber and City Hall, is that because they're doing major renovation work in City Hall, at least for the
And
city
in
council
the
chambers.
main chamber, yeah.
So it's just filled with scaffolding, so that's not going to be in use until sometime in the fall. So the special city council meeting on July 28th
It's out on the grass.
no, it's not out on the grass. It's in the lecture hall at the main library, level 2. I think that's the big one downstairs. Yeah, the
Why
big
didn't they
lecture
use
hall.
the school committee office?
They did that for the last one, and they've used that for some city council subcommittee meetings. But I think they're probably anticipating a good crowd at this one,
Yeah, the
so.
library's a beautiful place, so
Yeah, it's a great place, absolutely.
why is there going to be a big crowd?
Well, because it's the only meeting of the summer.
No big issues, though?
I suspect that there'll be some big issues. What happens is, especially with this city council, there are some kind of crunchy orders that are getting in, policy-oriented orders. And I figure if they've had a month between meetings, they probably had enough time to come up with some kind of interesting ones. So in the few days before when I get to look at the agenda, I'm sure I'm going to see, there'll be like 50 orders and 170 resolutions
Yeah.
commemorating this,
See,
that, and
this
the
is
other
what
thing.
city managers live for.
No, actually, the city managers dread having, there'll be like 14, well, not 40, it might be 30 requests for information.
Yeah, that's
and
what
then-
makes them happy.
No, that's not what makes them happy, but it does keep them busy.
Keeps them employed.
That's for sure. Now, it's going to be very interesting at the end of the month, because not only is there that meeting on the 28th, but the following night has been a meeting many people have been anticipating for a while, is I don't know if it's necessarily a decision-making meeting. It's listed as the continued public hearing on special permit application 288 before the planning board, better known as the courthouse structure at 40 Thorndike Street. So
What day is that?
that's Tuesday, July 29th, and I believe the meeting is being held, I believe, oh yeah, here it is. It's at the Kennedy Longfellow School.
What time?
158 Spring Street at 7 p.m. Now, it's listed as a continued public hearing, but depending on circumstances, if the public testimony continues till 11 o'clock, it might just be a hearing. But it is anticipated that either then or soon thereafter, there will be a decision that will have to be rendered on the special permit application for the courthouse building, which is very contentious. And as most people, I think, have correctly noted, it would likely be a lawsuit one way or another afterwards. The atmosphere of this is somewhat affected, I have to say, just to, not to bring everybody down about this, but one of the primary people who have been part of the neighborhood group that formed in part in trying to affect the outcome of the courthouse was a fellow named Seth Teller, who sadly took his own life two weeks ago. So he was an MIT professor of robotics and a good guy, actually. He's the one person who I was in contact with about some of the matters down there. So that puts a big shadow over everything. I haven't heard anybody speak in anything other than sense of dread about this having occurred. But, things will move on. The planning board will meet on July 29th, and, things will happen. I don't know whether transfer of the title for the building has yet passed from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Because all the prisoners have left.
The prisoners are gone, so they have erected a chain link fence around that, which suggested to me that maybe the title had transferred. But I was waiting to hear from the developer, who promised to let me know, because I asked. But I haven't heard from him, so I don't know if actually that has transferred title. It's going to be a busy week. City Council meeting on the 28th, Planning Board 29th, July 30th at 4 p.m., Ordinance Committee meeting on the Carlone petition. The Carlone petition was the petition that was submitted June 30th, calling for a transfer for 2.5 years of the special permit granting authority for largish projects from the Planning Board to the City Council. At least the theory is during the time when all of these discussions about master plans and comprehensive planning are taking place, for the short term at least, do that transfer. So, it's anybody's guess exactly how this will all move along, but.
Are they dealing with that at the special meeting? No.
No, well, I think there may be some discussion, but the thing is, the matter has been referred to the committee, and the committee hasn't yet met.
They haven't, yeah.
So really, it wouldn't properly be before them, so unless somebody wants to sort of,
Yeah, they
sort of
wouldn't do
go
that.
off about it. So that's Wednesday, July 30th at 4 PM in ordinance committee, and that's being held at the school committee meeting room, the Henrietta S. Attles meeting room at Cambridge Regional
Lovely.
School, 4
Well,
PM,
then-
Wednesday the 30th.
Yep. And then the 31st,
What's on the 31st?
it's the deadline to apply for the commission.
Oh, that's right, that was.
So you have to apply then. So you have meetings every single night, and
That's
then you
right.
have to apply.
That's right, so you've got to be a real gung-ho civic participant.
And then August 1st
August 1st is the deadline for planning board.
for the other commission,
That's right,
for the
for
planning board.
planning
So the
board.
police board, then the
That's right.
planning board.
Now, speaking of the Carlone petition, that matter is referred to both the ordinance committee, which is meeting on the 30th, but it's also submitted to the planning board for a hearing and report. And so the planning board will be taking up the public hearing on that matter. I don't know whether they'll do a decision or not then, but certainly it'll be before them for a public hearing on Tuesday, August 5th at 7 PM.
Now, why does the planning board have a hearing on that?
Because it's a zoning petition, and according to state law, all zoning petitions must be referred to both the ordinance committee and to the planning board. The planning board doesn't make a decision, they make a recommendation to the city council, but it's the city council that ultimately votes on any.
So the planning board is going to recommend to the city council whether they want power taken away from them?
I mean, I suppose if I just didn't like the controversy, I'd say, fine, take it away. I don't want to deal with
It's odd.
this.
So does that mean that they still are in power and they still?
Oh, yeah.
They just have some stuff taken away from them?
Right, but the thing is that ultimately, the sitting members of the planning board, and presumably any new appointees, are actually pretty expert in looking at architectural
Right.
matters and whatever. So if they were to move the authority over to the city council, then, and it's actually part of the Carlone petition, they would then actually have to hire independent consultants to do what the planning board
Right.
does now, for giving some feedback about architect. I mean, right now, it works with the planning board in conjunction with city staff to do the design review and all of the necessary aspects of that. So it's sort of a good working system right now. So, I mean, I've made no secret of the fact that I think it's a silly idea, but.
Well, if this petition passes, then is there a point to applying for the planning board?
Yeah, because the planning board still will submit their point of view on every zoning petition. There's still other special permits that come before them that are below a certain threshold. Design review they have to do in some of the planned unit developments, PUD districts.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of their job is to sort of talk through and get the best product out in those districts. So there's still a lot to do, believe me, but still, trying to take away just the big ones and sort of put that in front of a political body is what the Carlone
interesting,
petition's
yeah.
about, and it's like, well, we'll see. Now, one of my favorite summertime events, and I hope it's yours too. This year it will be it's Steve Buckley, who's a sports writer for the Boston Herald, and a Cambridge, he doesn't live in Cambridge right now, but he's born and raised in Cambridge, actually right down the street from me. He and others put together Steve Buckley's old-time baseball game.
What is that?
Well, it's a great tradition. It's been going now for, 20 some odd years. I think that's right. It might be fewer, but it's definitely a good long time. Maybe it's less than 20 years, but it's a benefit baseball game to benefit this year ALS Research and the Pete Frates No. 3 Fund. Pete Frates is a baseball player who's actually suffering from ALS, better known as Lou Gehrig's disease. So the old time baseball game this year is taking place on Monday, August 25th, and where it always takes place, which is at St. Peter's Field up at Sherman Street, North Cambridge. And let me tell you, I mean, I wasn't born in Cambridge, but I've lived here 35 years. This is, to me, the best, what you might characterize as best towny event.
So you have to pay
in
to
all
watch
of
it?
You do not have to pay
So
anything.
how are they making money?
donations, there's a lot of concessions there, they run raffles, they basically, I think the players actually generate some of the funds as well. But what they do, it's called the Old Time Baseball Game because all the players wear vintage uniforms from various teams over the years. I think, anyway, it's really worth it. And the person who does the play-by-play, broadcasts the play-by-play, is one of our recent guests on the TV show, Glen Kuchar.
Fantastic.
Yeah, right. It's really a great event.
So what day is that?
That's on Monday, August 25th.
All right.
I just want to sort of make a pitch from my little neighborhood. Even though I'm a Johnny-come-lately, I'm only 35 years living in my neighborhood. I'll proudly mention that my neighborhood produced not only Steve Buckley, who is 2 blocks down from where I live in mid-Cambridge, but also Glen Kuchar. He actually comes from Broadway and Fayette Street area. Lenny Clark, the comedian from up around Cleveland Street, and Jimmy Tingle, whose mom still lives over at Broadway and Inman.
Okay, for your
So-
next assignment is to find some women.
I could do that.
Okay,
I
good.
could do that. But these ones are because I was thinking about.
They're the
Yeah,
comedians.
it definitely came to
Yeah.
mind here. A couple of other events that are really good.
My favorite summer event.
Is this the one? So the festival for Saints Cosmas and Damiano in East
The
Cambridge,
Italian feast.
right? Which is the
And the
Italian
parade.
feast. It's the 88th annual Italian feast
Which is
with a
good
parade.
luck.
It's on September 6th and 7th, and I could sort of try my best to give you like say where exactly it is, but just go to East Cambridge on
It's
Cambridge
a
Street
great
and
event.
you'll know. All right, probably I think it's centered around Warren Street,
It's
which is
a
parallel to
big
Cambridge.
thing.
It's
You
a
will see it.
big deal, right? And
And if
actually,
you haven't gone there ever, it's time.
some of the principal people who actually help put together the event every year is actually State Senator Sal DiDomenico's family. So Sal's involved in
His
it.
mom and
and
dad.
dad, whatever. So it's very much a family tradition, but it's a great Cambridge event. So that's September 6th and 7th. And I'll also mention that it was an
No,
initiative.
you're making it sound like summer's already over. You're talking about events in
double back.
September.
We can double back a bit.
Summer's over.
There was an initiative from Vice Mayor Dennis Benson, who was asking the city to come up with a job fair. You know, to sort
Wait,
of-
before we do that,
Yeah.
what happened to the soccer TV thing?
Well, I have to say, though,
So Robert's been promising us for
there were
months
there was
that there
supposed
was
to.
gonna be a huge TV out there.
It
Did
was-
it happen?
Well, yes and no. There was supposed to be a big projection screen for
For the World
out-
Cup?
to sort of take in the World Cup soccer. By the way, what you have Argentinian blood.
Yeah,
in
we're
you?
not talking about who
We're not
won
talking-
here. We're just
Oh.
talking about the TV.
Okay. So it was supposed to take place either in Lafayette Square or someplace close to Lafayette Square, down near the firehouse
Yeah.
end of
I
Central
told
Square.
everyone to go there.
Well, they did get it partially off the ground. They eventually settled on doing it over in University Park area,
And
they did it. But
did people show up?
people showed up, but I have to say, I did see a photo today that kind of showed the size of the screen and how it was presented. I have to say, it wasn't exactly what I had in mind. I had a vision for anybody who's ever gone on July 4th down on the Cambridge side of the river. In recent years, DCR puts these sort of big kind of scissor jack type jumbotrons that they have out there, and you can see them a mile away, and they're
Yeah,
bright colors.
exactly. That's what we're expecting.
Well,
What did they do? A Cardullo's
you
TV
know,
window?
I think they had like a tent with like a movie screen and a projector or something like that. I don't know for sure. I wasn't there, but
It's a start.
It's a start. I thought it was a good intention,
start.
and I hope that for the next World Cup 4 years from now,
Well, maybe it could be for other events. I mean,
it could, yes.
people complain that they stay home, they never go out because they're sitting there watching TV. So maybe the solution is to bring the TV to the outside.
I think that's a good
Have
idea.
people gather and
Yeah.
have community events, watching
Actually,
TV.
I don't think that.
Speaking of which,
Yes.
every Wednesday night, there's family nights, and you can watch movies outside
I
in
did hear
different
about
parks.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday night. this
Yeah,
summer.
actually, I thought I might actually have had that here, but I.
Why couldn't they have used one of those screens?
Well, Well, I don't think that's a big screen either.
Oh, they
In-
use a
it-
sheet there too?
Yeah, well, it might have been the same screen. They just sort of, trucked it over to University Park for the soccer game. I don't know.
All right.
But
So
I just,
maybe that might be an investment.
sometimes it's funny, if you do something and it doesn't come off as well as planned, it creates an incentive to do it right the next time.
Or they ignore it and never
Or
do
they
it
just say,
again.
well, we're
Or
never doing this
that
again, right?
or-
Yeah, but, hopefully those, especially, I think, was it Mark McGovern and Dennis Benson who were really pushing for this? Hopefully they'll say, well, come on, let's really do this. Let's do this right and have some other public events. There are some really great spaces where if they had like a big movie night for the whole city.
That'd be great.
I think it
A
would be-
sing-along.
Oh, yes. Yeah, let's do sing-alongs,
A
Cambridge
sing-along.
sing-alongs, right? We'll sing the official
little-
Cambridge town song.
With a little ball that goes over the words and everyone sings together.
Yeah, that would be real popular and very modern. Well, we could do that. Anyway, just to sort of say, a couple more little items in here. Here's a great
Or
one.
we can tweet the lyrics and everyone can read their smartphones.
That's right.
Is that better for you?
Yeah, let's just have an app for it, right? Here's one item that's coming up on. I hate to be. It's like we're in July, so I'm talking September here, right? But
School starts again too.
Yeah, school starts in
Day after
September.
Labor Day.
That's right.
When is Labor Day this year?
I think it's actually September 1st.
Yeah. So school starts September 2nd.
And I will be, and hopefully you will be enjoying barbecue with Glen Kuchar the day before.
Oh, how
Let's hope.
exciting.
We enjoy that. This is a great initiative. I just love this. I am going to find a way to be a participant in this. So this is actually something that grew out of from the recycling folks down in the Department of Public Works. They have something it's called Repair Cafe.
I've
All right.
heard of this.
Hey, you have? Really?
Well, for other things, maybe, if this is new. Is this new?
Well, it's the first time for us. It's called Repair Cafe. It's in September. They're seeking volunteers now.
Who can break things up so that you can repair things?
Well, not so much to break things up, but you bring things in and they fix them.
That's
right?
fantastic.
I actually have to say,
Like what kind of
my whole
things?
life I've enjoyed fixing things. So, I'll just read what the blurb said. It
All right.
says,
Who's doing this?
well, it's actually orchestrated through the Department of Public Works
Okay.
and the recycling people, because, it's reduce, reuse, recycle, repair.
Very
That's
good.
really the 4 R's. And it says they were planning a repair cafe, a meeting place all about repairing things together. I love it. At the Repair Cafe, visitors can bring, and this is September 27th is the date, and it's an all-day event.
Inside or outside?
I don't know. It says location to be determined in July 2014, so
Got
they
it.
haven't
So
settled
we'll
on it.
know. By the next show, we'll
It
probably
says,
know.
at the Repair Cafe, visitors can bring broken items from home and will find tools and materials to help make needed repairs on clothes, electrical appliances, bicycles, toys, furniture, etc. I love this. Right? Together with the specialists, they start making their repairs.
So they want you to
and learn
repair
the
your
process.
own stuff and people teach you how to repair
Sort of
it.
like, I think it's kind of analogous to the Broadway Bicycle School, where what you do is you pay sort of a limited amount, and they sort of teach you how to repair your own bike. They'll help you, and if you're really stuck, they'll do it
That is
for you.
cool. So they need volunteers to be
Yeah.
repairers?
So the call is, they say, we're looking for repair specialists, including electricians, seamstresses, carpenters, do-it-yourselfers, that's me, right? And bicycle mechanics. Actually, I could be a bicycle mechanic. I could be.
So besides you,
To volunteer their
How else
time and
can
share
people
their skills
volunteer?
for 4 hours on a Saturday in September. But I think the whole event actually goes on all day, like maybe 12 hours. Something like
I'm
that.
going to break something so I can bring it to this thing.
All right.
How do you volunteer?
Well, I knew the answer, but I forgot to write it down.
So we don't know. As soon as we find out where it is,
One
we'll
way
let you know how to volunteer.
I'll have something's up on the Cambridge Civic Journal site, or you can contact the recycling director, Randy Mail.
That's it.
That'll do it.
Just
That'll
look
do
up
it.
recycling.
Yeah, but anyway, it's coming up September 27th, and I think they want to get people lined up well in advance of that date. So don't show up on the 26th and say, "Hey, I'd like to fix your chair." No. But anyway,
That is cool.
it's a really great idea.
And the honk parade is coming up too.
Do you know when?
October?
October is a honk parade?
I think
Oh,
so.
I don't
We'll have to
know.
look. I wasn't trying not to look into the fall, but
Yeah.
we'll do that later on.
Alrighty. All right, well, let's see, so those are sort of
Lots
the
of
big ones.
stuff happening.
Definitely lots of stuff happening.
And fun stuff. You've mentioned 3 fun things.
Just 3?
Wow, that you've said yours.
Well, I mean.
I'm not counting the
Civic meetings, I find
miniature
extraordinary.
golf thing. I'm not.
I'm glad you mentioned that again. Let me tell you a little bit more about miniature golf. No, I'm gonna tell you, when we were having some meetings as part of the K2, C2 process and some of MIT's plans for down around Kendall Square, I went in there and I kept hammering away on the idea for miniature golf. I was speaking somewhat metaphorically, I have to admit, by saying I think you need to do more fun stuff when you design
That's
cities
right.
and not just put up functional buildings.
That's right.
You know, because human beings actually inhabit these spaces and people like to have fun. So, you know, whether it's miniature golf or something
Pursuit of
else.
happiness.
Pursuit of happiness. It's a constitutional right. Or is that in the Declaration of Independence?
Exactly.
So anyway, for the pursuit of my happiness, I'd like to see some miniature golf. And
Where
actually,
where can you go play miniature golf here?
oh, you gotta
The
go.
closest to Cambridge.
Closest that I know of is up on the Linway where the orange dinosaur is.
So maybe it is time.
Maybe it is time.
Maybe there can be a special order for the special summer meeting.
That's
to,
right.
To do a special study.
We got McGovern coming in here next week. Maybe we ought to press him to sponsor some important legislation involving miniature
Yep.
golf.
Then we can have miniature golf shops that sell miniature golf clubs.
I think Cambridge could be put on the map as the
Miniature
miniature golf
golf.
city. Really, the center of biotech and miniature golf. it's my vision.
That's a goal.
There we go. Yeah. So, anyway, I believe on this point, a very important point, we've come to the end of another lovely half hour.
And we're so glad you stayed with us if you did. If you didn't,
There we
you don't
go.
care.
So anyway, until next week, my name's Robert Wieners, and you're not, and this is Cambridge Inside.
Susana Segat here, bye.